Hi, my name is Rebecca, and today I want to continue to talk to you about Psalm 23. Last week I shared some of my thoughts on verses 1 to 3, and you can go back and listen to those if you're interested. Today I want to talk to you about verse 4, and I want to tell you first, though, about a short story that I heard Jill Briscoe tell. She was in Jerusalem, and she saw herds of sheep coming up to a sheep gate. And she said it was very interesting, and everyone stopped to watch. There was lots of noises and smells, and she described what she saw. She said the first herd was full of woolly little sheep. They were happy and well-groomed and fluffy and obviously very well cared for by the shepherd. And she thought, wow, what a great shepherd. But then she saw the next group of sheep coming up to the gate. And they looked very different. They were scruffy and worn. They weren't listening to the shepherd. Some were running all over the place. And some of them just looked kind of beat up. And she thought, he must not be a very good shepherd. And then Jill Briscoe said something that I think we all need to hear and remember. She said, "Did you know that people judge the shepherd by the condition of the sheep?" As we are being led on this journey, as we live our lives and as we go to work, as we make posts on Facebook, as we send out tweets, we need to remember that. People are watching and listening, and they are judging our shepherd by our behavior and the condition of his sheep, you and I. It even says that in Psalm 23, verse 3. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Yes, it benefits us when we are on the right path, but ultimately it is for his glory and to uphold his reputation. We can't forget that we are God's representatives on this earth. So how are we behaving? He is a God of love. Are we demonstrating unconditional love to those around us? He is forgiving, full of grace and mercy. Are we role modeling that? But it's not easy to do that, right? It can be hard, especially with all the pressures and some of the chaos going on around us. It can be hard if we're feeling judged, or if we maybe feel like life just isn't working out how we had planned. It's hard when we're in the dark valley part of our journey. When I think of verse 4 of Psalm 23, my mind always goes back to the King James Version, probably because that's how I learned it as a child. And it goes, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." When I was thinking on that verse, what God highlighted for me was the word shadow, the valley of the shadow of death. Shadows are interesting. A shadow is caused when an object blocks out a source of light. And have you ever noticed that with a shadow, that they're often a distorted version of the object? In fact, a shadow can look totally different than the object that is creating it. It reminded me of that game that many of us maybe played with our children when we were putting them to bed at night, and we would make shadow puppets with our hands. So we'd create different shapes, and an animal would appear on the wall. As I was remembering that, I thought, isn't that kind of what happens to us when we're in the valley? When we find ourselves in a difficult time, reality and truth get distorted. Because if you think of those animal shapes, we would see a dog, but it's really a hand that's creating it. How we view things, and often what we perceive to be going on, can be very different from God's truth. It can become hard to see things as they really are, and it can be hard to see God in the situation. When that happens, we can start to lose hope. It's in the valley where we start to ask those W questions. Why is this happening? Where is God in all of this? Who am I to get through this? What am I going to do? All we see are the distorted shadows, and sometimes they loom much larger than us. But we have to remember that if there is a shadow, there is a light. There has to be light. The light is always there. It's just something has come between us and the light. And that is what I want to remind you of today. I believe God is saying, I am here with you in the valley. Don't forget that. I see you in the shadow of hurt, of fear, of worry, maybe disappointment and loss. But don't focus on what's causing the shadow. Focus on me, the light. Psalm 23:4 urges us to remember that. It says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." That is our hope, and that is our way out of the valley, our good shepherd. We just need to remember that he is there and to call out to him. So I encourage you to do that today. I'd like to close by praying for you. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for who you are. And thank you for this reminder in your word that when we are in the valley and if we are feeling overwhelmed by the shadows, that you are the light. You are behind it all and above it all. And all we need to do is look to you and call out to you, and you will lead us out. You are our source of truth and hope. And so I pray that for my friend who is listening today, Father, I pray that you would encourage them. They would feel your presence as they call out to you and look to you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.